welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new here, hi, my name is Tolulopesolutions Solutions. Make sure you click the subscribe button and join the growing and amazing team Solutions. In today's video, I'm going to be chatting with you guys about some of the things that have been a shock to me, culture shock. So my family and I moved here a year ago. If you follow me on Instagram, then you see our dance, celebrating the faithfulness of God who has just kept us and giving us opportunities to be thankful, added to us beautifully in this 1 year. The Holy Spirit actually inspired me to make that video to just encourage somebody who is in that phase of, I want to move, but I'm afraid of testing new waters and stuff like that. So again, I'm saying it here, if God brings you to it, it will lead you through it. That has been our testimony. That has been the reality of our family. We've just trusted God every waking morning, and He has shown Himself to be faithful. Now, without speaking too much, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the culture shock I've experienced while living here. The first thing, which was the first shock to me, was, so when we came here in February 2021, it was cold, it was in the winter, and we're living by this waterside, beautiful scenery, and so every time we want to go out, it would be so cold, even colder than the rest of the neighborhood because of the waterside, right? So that fateful day, we went out, my husband and I and my daughter. I had so much clothes on, and because it was still new to me, I lived in the UK, but one of the things I dislike most about living in the West is the cold. I always feel like I can't achieve much when it's so cold. Then I don't bother for looking good. Now I'm learning that you can still mix winter and fashion, but back then when I just came, I would just wear everything I could. So that day I wore everything, just looking very, very random. And we took a walk. So I went on Insta story, I was showing people the scenery, and I'm like, oh, I look like an Eskimo. Guys, I just got 2 DMs immediately saying, take that down, take that down, take that down, that does not represent me or what I stand for, take it down. Sorry, these days I talk in TikTok. But anyway, I just got DMs saying, oh, that is actually a derogatory word. It's as if you're calling black people the N word, because actually is used for a member of the Inuit community, people who live in northern Canada, who traditionally fish or hunt to it's just a set of people, legit. So saying that, oh, I'm dressed like an Eskimo, is derogatory. That shocked me, because back home in Nigeria, we used to call each other Eskimo for fun, and I'm just at the end of the day, if you don't know, you don't know, right? I had to get on board. I stopped saying it right away, and I even shared it with my Instagram community, just so that my followers from Nigeria can know that it might be okay to say over there, but if you can't say it here and you can't receive glass goes on your face, ignorance is not an excuse, right? And just for education purposes, I love to learn new things about cultures and things like that. So I was really impressed to know. I'm grateful for the person who told me. But just so you know, if you're coming to this part of the world, legit people are called Eskimos. It's not something to you say for fun or just because you look a certain way, okay? The next thing that shocked me when I got to Canada was the structure around booking appointments and the cancellations. Guys, you book appointment for every single thing. You know how where I come from, you can literally walk into the salon and you want to get your hair done, or you just walk into a hospital and you get to sit. It don't work like that here. Only the emergency unit or walk-in clinics is where you can walk into, and even in that case, another shock was how long you have to wait in an emergency unit. I'm like, why is it an emergency? Let me break it down for you. So the ideal thing, if you have normal temperature or you feel some type of way in your body, the ideal thing would be to book an appointment with your family doctor, right? Now, unfortunately, with your family doctor, you might not get an appointment until a day or 2 or 3 sometimes. So if it's something that is not urgent or is not an emergency, they expect you to actually wait it out. That one, you go to the hospital. By the time you complain to your family doctor, they will give you maybe a series of tests to run or something, and then you have to go run it, and you bring back the result, or they will send the result to them. They will interpret it normal procedure, right? No pressure kind of attendance. Now, there are some cases that maybe your child has a fever, or you yourself, you feel some things in your body. So the thing is, those kind of things, maybe it's not as deep as escalating it to calling 911 or calling the ambulance, right? there are emergency and walk-in clinics that you can go. Unfortunately, for those clinics, you actually get to sit down there. Like when I was pregnant, a lot of you guys know I was pregnant all through last year since moving here. I'm like, where is the emergency here, right? There was a day I was sporting and I went to the ER, emergency units, as it's supposed to be. I waited 8 hours, guys, 8 good hours, just waiting. Then being passed from one thing to another. The good thing about it though is when they eventually see you, they are thorough. Like recently, my husband even had to take my daughter to the ER sometime late last year, because she was running temperature. My mom eventually decoded that she was actually teething, but before we knew it was like teething. She wasn't taking food or fluid, she was running a temperature. They were there for like I think 3 to 4, actually they were there overnight. But that's because they were watching them, but in attending to them they were there for like 3 to 4 hours. And when they eventually saw her, they were thorough. Like they did everything from x-rays to taking a pee and things like that. So when they eventually see you, the good thing is they're thorough, they cancel out everything. But that waiting period, fam, I don't know, I feel like everybody complains about it. So what people would do is sometimes they just call 911 because they want to jump that queue, but you also have to have a legit reason to call the ambulance, right? So anyway, that was shocking to me. So I've said a lot here, I've said the structure, but going back to the structure, it's like I can't just walk into a salon. If I want to go to a salon, if my husband wants to as much as barb his hair, he has to book an appointment. And God bless you, you don't show up at the appointment, they actually charge your card. I've not received the service. It was my spa lady, the facials lady, that was telling me that, oh, if you don't make the appointment, there is a $15 cancellation charge if you don't make the appointment and you don't call us like 1 hour or 2 hours in advance. Some even require you to call a day before, and I can understand that, you know, so that they can slot other people in and you don't waste their time. If you do waste their time, you're supposed to pay for it. But I'm just like, back where I'm coming from. In the first place, there is no appointment. It's not now talk of cancellation fee. But anyway, that was just shocking to me, and it's something we've gotten used to now. Like we know to book our appointments and show up in time, so to avoid stories that touch. So the next thing, I won't say this one really shocks me because I've lived in the UK, right? But it still shocks me because again, I was only in the UK for 1 year. Is the giving of tips. Like I feel like it's general knowledge, but because it's not practical, right? In Nigeria where I used to live, is like the rate at which you have to give tips here. Fun fact. We went somewhere recently and we tipped like the barest minimum. Guys, you see the eyes they were using to look at us. I can't even lie to you. You will feel it. So even when you go to restaurants, I remember when we went for my birthday at Niagara Falls, we had gone to a restaurant a day before and we didn't tip actually, because at the end of the day, it's not like you must tip. It's just that it's a common thing people do. It's a common culture, right? So as much as possible, we plug into it, but we don't do it every time too, because I mean, at the end of the day, I've paid for your service, right? So that particular day we didn't tip. Then we went there the next day. Guys, the person who served us the day before, now I don't know if it was a coincidence and it was not supposed to be the person's shift, but the person was right there. And when we called the person, they're like, oh, I'm going to get someone else to attend to you. And I'm like, I was telling my husband that maybe because we did not tip him yesterday, but anyway, we still got the service and ate the food and left the place anyway. Like for me, there is no shame in my game, and it's because I do tip. We do tip a lot of times, right? So the few times I don't, you can't make me feel bad for not dropping my money. It's my hard-earned money at the end of the day, but it's just a very common culture here. Like, and I understand that people who do like what's it called now, minimum wage jobs and stuff like that, they also appreciate the fact that, you know, their customers are giving them that extra, you know, financial support and stuff like that. So it's good, but it's just that you can't always do it. That's the honest truth. The next thing I'll say is parking. Like, parking is such a big deal here. Such a big deal. I remember the day we even moved into this house. Like, guys, so we had booked appointments. To even move into your house, you book an appointment. Part of all the structure I was talking about. But we had booked an appointment to say, okay, we're going to move in. But between packing our stuff from the former place and moving in here, we got here and they said, oh, you can only move in before 4 p.m. And we got here, I think, around past 4. We're like, nobody even told us that, like, okay, sorry, there's nothing you can do except to come back the next day. Bearing in mind that we had paid for the elevator, we had paid for caution fee in case you broke anything while moving, and all that didn't count. They just said anything beyond 4 you can't move in. we're like, okay, no problem, we're just going to leave our truck right outside. And we're like, nope, if you don't have a permit, you cannot park in the premises. And like, these guys know that we legit live here already because our rent started counting already. So guys, my husband had to drive that truck another, I think, about 35 to 40 minutes to our family friend's house to go and park it, because they have like visitors parking outside. It's serious. Like, a lot of times when you go to some vendors, now some of them have parking for their, you know, customers and stuff, but a lot of times as well, you have to pay to park. Even in buildings, some people live in buildings where they pay to park. For us, we have parking with our building, right? But if you have 2 cars, then we'll have to look for somebody who doesn't have a car and they're willing to let out their garage for maybe $100, $150 per month. That's the average that people do, and a lot of people just use that to make extra cash. I'm just like, parking is the least of our problems that we come from. So imagine my shock when a lot of people that even have cars here, when they go to work in downtown Toronto or like in offices, they just go with the train, because I mean, it was a major shock for me, because I mean, parking, forget it, it's the least of my problems that I'm coming from. But anyway, yeah, the next one that really shocked me, it's not like it shocked me really. Again, I will use the basis of, okay, I've lived in the West for a bit, but when I was pregnant, people all up in my business saying, is he a boy or girl? Is he a boy or girl? I'm like, I don't want to be rude. Guys, someone actually asked me one day, oh, almost there, right? And I was like, I think 3 months to my due date then. If you follow my pregnancy story, you know that my belly was quite huge and long. But still, I just felt like, you have no right to talk about my body in that light. But I feel like they don't see it as something, you know, they don't see it as a big deal here. Like, my nail technician was always asking me, are you having a boy or girl? Like, for every new nail technician, maybe they need to just discuss something with you, maybe out of they want to be friendly. I'm like, be friendly in other ways, ask me about my culture, but don't be asking about, don't pry into my child like that. You guys know I can get with pregnancy and my body. Anyway, that's something. But I also got to realize that for some of them, it's just from a place of, like I said, wanting to start a conversation. So sometimes I just honor it. And for those people, they can obviously see you're pregnant. So just, there's nothing else they can ask except, when are you due? Or is he a boy or girl? When I go for antenatal or my appointment, sometimes I hear people in the hall discussing, oh, I'm due on the 23rd of January. Oh, my due date is on the 6th. I'm just like, Nigerians left the group chat, because one day, guys, let me just you. When I was pregnant with my first, I was obviously in Nigeria, and I went to work one day. My colleagues knew I was pregnant. Obviously, I was already showing, and then one of my colleagues was like, "Oh, baby," she was trying to rub my tummy, and she just came close and said, "Oh, babe." Guys, I just like the way I held down there, like, oh, you want to be touching my belly? No, they don't used to do that where I come from. Here, obviously, I don't think, did I have any encounter with anybody? No, I never had any encounter with anybody touching my belly here. Actually, that would be outright rude. It's just like touching my hair. That would be outright rude. But I'm like, still in Nigeria, nobody, or I think Africa generally, nobody will be asking you for your due date or if you're having a boy or girl. And because of westernization, a lot of people might ask, but like the urge to say it is reduced. Like, people are very defensive about things like that. Like, okay, why do you want to know? Why are you asking me that question? I bind you in the name of Jesus. Can you blame us? Too much African magic things that are actually real sometimes, right? So yeah, so that was actually shocking to me as well. Just the way people pry into your personal affairs, ask you questions that you feel are off the table sometimes. And yeah, so if you're coming here and you're pregnant, from the plane, you better, from the airport, you better be ready to answer if you're having a boy or a girl, except you want to lie and say you don't know. Don't do that. I didn't do that. Next thing is the concept of you being African and vocal. So I'll break it down. So there was this day, I think I shared this on my Insta story, people just feeling like you're not supposed to understand or speak much English like the locals because you're black or because you say you're from Nigeria. So I was waiting in line, and I was chatting with somebody, and I felt, oh, this was even an opportunity to like make a friend, because I actually don't have a lot of friends that are like from around here. In fact, I don't even have any. All my friends are still friends that I knew from Nigeria, or people that I met here that are Africans. Anyway, I digress. So we're talking, and that was actually an opportunity to get to know each other. Like, we were actually talking about, she was telling me the first phase of lockdown they had, it was difficult for her and her kids, like, you know, 2 moms vibing and trying to form a connection. And next thing she goes, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, from Nigeria. She's like, oh, your English is so good. And me that's I don't used to go to go and receive response. I said that in English, but if you're Yoruba, like, most times if I mean you, my response would just come out, right? But that day I feel like, I don't know what happened, maybe I was just trying to be nice. I was like, oh well, yeah. I schooled in the UK, I have like university education, what do you expect? Like, but part of me was like, so after the conversation ended, when I sat down alone, I was thinking about it, that why didn't I just give it to Agbas goes that, duh, have you been to Nigeria? Like, a huge chunk of the people in Nigeria speak English, like probably even better than the locals here. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I should have given Agbas goes, but maybe it's even the Holy Spirit in me that just helped me to, actually the non-confrontational person in me that just made me find a way around the conversation. But when I sat down to think about it, I felt like it was an insult. Like, what do you mean? Because I'm from Nigeria, you're asking why my English is so good? Duh, there's schools in Nigeria, there are professors in Nigeria, people who come here and do way better in education, in English studies, better than people who are here. So what are we talking about? So I feel like it's just that ignorance, and a lot of people just look at you that, oh, if you're black or if you're African, then you ordinarily shouldn't be fluent in English or whatever. Next thing I'm going to talk about, probably the last thing, will be taxes. Now, I used to work in an organization where, actually I used to work with the FIRS in Nigeria, where we're in charge of taxes. So it's not like there is no tax system in Nigeria, it does exist. However, the strictness, the details, the timeliness, the thoroughness, what else, give me the word, like everything is like on raised to power 100 in this part of the world. Like, everything, literally, for you to enter the system, that's how they call it, for you to maybe start to access some things like your mortgage, your stuff, you have to have filed your taxes. Like, it is so strict. Like, for you to even be recognized as part of the system in a way, you have to actually be filing your taxes. I'm like, Nigerians left the chart, because we just used to file taxes. I can't say much, but the tax system here is so rigid. So that's one thing that really shocked me too. I think because I also had experience, like first-hand experience with filing of taxes and tax returns in Nigeria, I thought I knew everything about when it comes to filing taxes. But here, I thought I didn't know jack. Like, I even used to call my husband's best man, who had lived here for, I think, 4 years now or 5 years now. Like, it was not explaining things to me, and I used to tell myself that, do you even really work in taxes? It's just so different. It's more rigid here, whether you're like paid employment or you're self-employed. There is GST, there's HST, there's company income tax. There's different levels to this, right? And most importantly is the fact that they are really strict with it. Lastly, I'm going to talk about credit. If you're coming to Canada, I feel like I just need to add this to you. This was one thing that shocked me when I got here so much. Credit score, building your credit. We had no clue about this before we came to Canada. Like, no clue. You know, you just think that, oh, when you come, you have your money, you can go get a car. We know that things are done on like credit basis, but we didn't know that you still needed to build your credit score, something like that, right? So, typical example, let me say it in like plain language for whoever is coming into the country for the first time. So you come here, for instance, even if you have your money, it's not advisable that you buy things cash down, right? Because if you're living here, then you need to build your credit. And if you're buying things cash down, there is no way you can build your credit, right? Because you're expected to take out a loan, so to speak, so that your ability to repay is what will now count towards your credit score, and it is in having a high credit score that you can now start to access more credit or more things in the system, if that makes sense. So if you come into the country, you want to buy a car of say $30,000, even if you have the money, then it's not wise to just go to the dealership and pay cash down and carry the car. You can do that. However, there is no history to your name in that. There is no credit history. There is no way to check that you're actually credit worthy in that. So it's a case of you have to say just pay a fraction of the money, then they will now spread the remaining for you over a number of years. Then your ability to repay as at and when due is what will influence the way your credit score is now going up, right? So if you now leave car and then you have to access a mortgage or something, they now refer to the credit you collected in the past, in this case a car, to see that okay, she serviced the credit well, now we're able to give her, you know, a mortgage with other indices and terms and conditions, of course. But just let you guys know how it works, that it's not a case of I have my money. And that thing frustrated me so much when I got here, I'll be honest, because I'm like, if you want to buy something, just buy it. Like, why do you have to? Even your credit card, right? When you open accounts, banks will give you credit cards. You're expected to service it by you actually using the credit card. And for me, when I first came, once we used the credit card, I'm like, okay, let's put it back the next day. I had to learn, like, read a couple of stuff, talked to a couple of friends, that number one, you have to give it some time for it to actually count towards your credit score. Like, it's something I have to now consciously and cautiously, because you have to be cautious as well, so that you don't also overstep and now have bad credits because you're trying to build credit, right? So it's something we had to just learn, and we're still learning. But yeah, that really shocked me. Like, there is really credit where I come from. To even get credit, girl, is something, right? So most times, I used to work in a bank sometime in my early 20s. Most times to get credit, it has to be maybe if a salary earner or a big business owner, right? But here, I feel like everybody can access credit with the right credentials. But what matters is the fact that you're able to repay, so that they can tie it to your history. It shocked me. I can't lie. Literally, it shocked me. But yeah, that's it. I think with that, I can say if you're here in Canada already and you've experienced any culture shock when you came here, put it down. Let's know. I can't really call snow a culture shock because we knew what we were getting into. But yeah, that's it. I've come to the end of the video. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Ha. Eh? Ha. Excuse me.
Much later.
I did it, Joe.